Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of a continuing series called Words Worth Considering. Now, this is going to be where I take 10 minutes to research and 5 minutes to cover a specific word that I think is ever present in society and something that maybe we are struggling with. Today's word is going to be facts. Now, facts are supposed to be indisputable, right? And we all like to think that we have facts that back up our opinions and the things that we value, and that facts are what give validity to our argument and really should be the basis of why the rest of the world needs to get on board with what we think. Now, I want us all to consider, because I think that this may ring true for a lot of us, that we might feel like we are post-truth or post-facts. So is it worth considering that we're no longer fazed by lies, things that probably would have bothered us quite badly at one time, or that we're no longer impressed by knowledge? Now, I want to look at facts from a scientific perspective, because science is supposed to be something that looks heavily at facts, but doesn't really consist of facts. And that is because science is meant to be self-critical and self-correcting, meaning there's always more to know. So scientifically, we're never factual, but we may just be more right now than we used to be. And hopefully, again, speaking scientifically, we will be more right in the future than we are now. There was an interesting study during my 10 minutes of research that was laid out by Stanford University in 1975. And what they did is they gathered a group of students, and they gave that group of students 25 suicide notes. Now, they were told that some of these suicide notes are genuine and some of them were fabricated and written by someone who did not commit suicide. And they then had to decipher which ones were real and which ones were not. And so those students went through, did their work, tried to decipher as best they could, and then they divided that group of students in half. They told one half, "Congratulations, you have a gift for this. You deciphered 24 out of 25 suicide notes correctly. Well done." The other group was told, "Hey, this isn't your bag. You only deciphered 10 out of 25, which if you're in that group, you could think, okay, the 10 that I deciphered were probably just by chance anyway. 50-50, right? Well, that wasn't the experiment. The experiment was to then tell the students that none of the suicide notes were genuine, that none of them had an actual skill in deciphering or not deciphering which ones were genuine notes. Then they came back later and asked those students to judge themselves on if they're actually good at deciphering what's real from what's fake. And lo and behold, the group that was originally told that they had a special talent for deciphering what's real and what's fake still held themselves of higher esteem and thought that it was something that they actually were good at. And likewise for the other group, they thought, you know what, I just don't think that I'm cut out for this. So what does that tell us about how we're valuing ourselves? And are we really just forming impressions of ourselves that remain really, really prevalent even when they shouldn't be? Now, the other thing I want to talk about really quickly, and already it looks like I'm going to go over 5 minutes, so bear with me, is that narrative plays a huge part in how we see the world. So some of us can think that there's a hero on a journey in whatever story we're living, or that there's a stranger coming to town and we're nervous about what they might be doing. So for this example, there are many people who think that Donald Trump is a hero on a journey. That's what they see him as. They see him as a champion for them. Likewise, there are just as many people who see him as a stranger coming to town who could be pillaging, who could be robbing, who could be doing all of these things. That is what their narrative is. So amidst this, I want people to understand that fake news does exist. So we have to make sure that we have the skills to interpret that news, to decipher what's real and what's fake. But this leads us to the last portion of this discussion, which is that our human enjoyment seems to come more from that narrative of, is there a hero coming to town, or is there a stranger that is knocking on our door? So whether that narrative is fiction or nonfiction, narrative is rooted in human experience. And human experience is something that all of us have. Okay? So I want to end this by challenging you and having you ask yourself, would we as humans be best served to appreciate the validity of other people's facts? And in parentheses, facts seem to be able to be disputed. But as a result of human experience instead. So I want to see if we can try to swap out appreciating others' human experience for facts, or for facts for human experience, because they seem so closely entwined. Facts can be disputed, human experience cannot. So appreciate your neighbor, understand why they're coming from where they are because of that narrative that is played out in their lives. So if you agree or disagree, I would love to hear about it. You can leave a comment, or I will also leave the links below for where I got some of the talking points for this conversation. Again, check those out, and thank you for watching. Until next time, Words Worth Considering with Taylor.